Hi all, this is Carrie, Beyond the Accent. Long time no talk. This is my second duo episode, and I'm so happy to introduce my friend and colleague. His name is Olga Sytina. Olga, are you there?
Hello, everybody. So happy to be here. It's a very new experience, yeah. But thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you
So
got it.
calm.
I am too. Psyched to have you. You're now in Moscow. Please send my love. I haven't been in forever. What's the weather like today? Let's just a bit of small talk, the weathery talk.
It's very British, ironically, because we are
So,
about to talk about the British accent, the American accent. So it's very British. It has changed like 20 times. It's just pretty grim and gloomy. I'm wishing for a bit more sun, I guess, but apart from that, it's fine.
same. Share the sentiment. I also got like gray skies today. It's raining. Well, I mean, it's not raining, but there's droplets on the windows. So, and I got tea with me where it's got a message for you. It says, you ready for that? Breathe in peace and breathe out blessings to all.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Do you get a different one every day? Or
Yeah.
is it?
Isn't that cute?
Oh, that's so cute.
Well, it's so nice to see you. Okay, I haven't like seen the person in front of me like in forever, so this is extra exciting.
It is.
I
It's
know this is scary, right?
since the
This is not
Instagram
okay.
was banned, yeah, it
Yeah,
has not been the same.
it has not been the same. 100%. Things have been extra difficult, but also life, you know. Yeah. But we're working on it, and this is a good start. And I wanted to check in with you. What is it? Well, first of all, do introduce yourself to whoever's listening. What is it that you do? What is it that you've been doing past, several years that you've not talked to me because we're too
Okay, well,
busy?
I've been doing the same thing actually.
So do tell me,
Um,
what is the thing? Yeah.
well, I'm an accent coach, a British accent coach, and my favorite thing on earth is to be creating courses and to be teaching people. And this is the only way I connect with people these days because I'm a new mom, so it's all in line with my students, and that's all the connection that I get to have. So yeah, basically, I teach teachers, mostly ESL teachers, teach them the British accent and great pronunciation, and teach them how to be confident, how to be more charismatic speakers, how to achieve their life goals, career goals through communication. I think that's a very rewarding kind of thing. So yeah, that's all I've been doing. Created several steps of my courses, like step 1, step 2, step 3. We've got 3 courses now. One is half a year long. It's quite a commitment.
Mm,
We've got 2 courses which are 2 months long, so those
mm.
are the basics. Intonation and articulation. So yeah, that's it. Also, I've got a baby now, so 2 kids, yay! And it's been crazy. Blood for the past half a year, but I'm hanging in there. It's a lot of fun, having kids of different age. So yeah, that's
You
how
look
I've been.
good. You sound
Oh,
good.
good
So,
for someone who has so much on their plate.
well, I wasn't going to say that. No, hold on. That was not what I was going for. Take that back. Well, this is, I guess, where I want to talk ideology, right? I want to just kind of dig deeper, if at all possible, because, as a teacher, you of course are an eternal learner. And I wanted to know what your journey's been like, because I didn't know anything about that. Where is it that it started for you, and how did it, like shape your experience? How did it shape you up as a teacher and the way that you show up for your people? is what I want to know.
Well, that's a great question. It actually, I don't have this typical from rags to riches kind of, journey. It has
Okay.
been very, very straightforward and
Hmm.
pretty painless, to be honest. Because it started back at the university, and we had amazing professors who instantly made us fall in love with language, with pronunciation, with the nitty-gritty of it. And I witnessed great, splendid teaching from my professors and just took it all on board. So I guess that's what I'm trying to do now, I think the best thing our professors did for us, they never sugarcoated their feedback. They were very direct and straightforward, but still they managed to create this space where we would strive for more. And we knew that it's going to be tough, probably getting that negative feedback sometimes. And, when we've worked, you know, so long to get that sound right, to get that intonation pattern right, and it still came out wrong. It
Well,
was
how
painful.
negative? I wanna
Mm.
like what when you say negative, I just want to know what
Yeah, it was
qualifies
not
as
negative. Like it was
yeah.
not personal, obviously. But sometimes it's tough. It was the first time when I actually had to work so hard, and it was not guaranteed that I would succeed. So it was the
Mm.
first experience in my life. So I knew I did my absolute best, but yeah, probably I was not going to succeed. And having that supportive mentor, kind of very honest mentor, is very helpful because I see it all the time now. People don't deal very well with feedback. It can be tough. There are obviously a lot of insecurities, and especially when you work with professionals who are great already in their field, teachers, it's very hard for them to be back to square one
Mm, mhm,
because
mhm, mhm.
when you start working on your speech, it's always, back to not to square one, but few steps back, and when you need to reassess and come back to the basics. And it's hard, and I realize that this is why I need to introduce, creating that supportive space. Okay, it's tough, I know it's hard, I've been there myself, but I know that you can do it because you just need time and guidance and a lot of support. Yeah, so I guess that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, all right. Yep, that figures. Okay, okay. And then, like, this is where I guess I want to ask you, is there like a thing, like the British element that you try and install in a way through the work that you do with your trainees? Like, is there, what is it that you enjoy the most about coaching others as they try and look for that element of their own that is Britishness of sorts? Because because it's British, but they're not British. So, like, how do you guys figure that out for yourself?
I think it's rather the transformation. It could be any other kind of element, the American element. I really enjoy witnessing that transformation because at some point they've been working really hard and they've been imitating a lot, and there's this click, and suddenly they start inhabiting the accent. It becomes their second identity, and it's in the confidence, it's in their posture, in their body language, and their facial expressions. We've got those little nice before and after videos that we post sometimes of our students doing the same task before the course and after the course. All the time, people point out that the students, they change visually. They change the whole appearance changes, the whole vibe changes, and they don't even realize that themselves until they watch their own before and afters. And the fact that they start showing up differently because they go into that, usually into accent training, trying to fix something, to improve something, like it's not enough. But at some point, it becomes more about expression than just perfection. And that is beautiful. They start playing with the language. They start really owning it. They just interact with it on a different level. So as a linguist, as a teacher, these moments are just precious for me. So yeah, the British element is not that essential, I think.
Like the honesty behind this. So it's about you changing as opposed to trying to be something you're organically not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because accent is just, it's like your personal DNA. It does not have to be British, American. It can be a mixture of everything. The confidence is everything. And the feeling of being just content with the way you speak or enjoying the way you speak, or the feeling that you can go out and perform in different styles. Say you could make a little stand up. You could uh, do a lecture, a talk. You could record a video for Instagram, for TikTok, and you'd still be confident. This is priceless. This is what people want at the end of the day. It's not being British when you are not British. It's just, it would be just stupid. Yeah, so.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's just a system to work with, right? I mean, it's just like there isn't a German English that is one of the originals that you would, adhere to, right? So these are the systems that are out there, and these are the sounds that we work with. So it is British, but it's not what you're ultimately after in terms of the journey that you're sort of setting your heart on, I guess. It's just like
Yeah.
that's the depth, I think, that is what's lacking oftentimes in terms of marketing in the industry. Sound like a Brit.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then what for? I mean.
Right. And yet the way she just said it, and what for? Just like, and there she is. Like she was born in London someplace. It's so interesting. But that's the thing, when you don't look for it, and yet you look for something that's behind the Britishness, you get the thing that they market at the end of the day. It's almost like the side effect. And it's there. But that's
Yeah, well, the reason
funny,
why
huh?
it's British is because I've been taught British, and that's
Right.
the benchmark that I've got at my disposal. And it's essential, I think, for me being a non-native speaker, not living
Yeah.
in an English-speaking country, we just choose a benchmark because it's essential to know what we're after. So, okay, we're going into accent work, trying to fix something, trying to improve something, trying to go away from something. But we have to know what's in front of us, what we are trying to achieve. And if we're trying to achieve a mixture of some accents, that's just very hard. It would take ages and there's no way to give feedback. So it complicates things. And if you've got a benchmark, then it's easier. And that's what I keep telling my students. Okay, you master one accent and it becomes easier to work with any other accent. So if at some point you decide that you've had enough of the British, you would love to sound more like an American. And you could do it the easy way because you've already got the tools and what you are capable of, and all of those things. So it gets easier to add accents to a toolkit, I guess.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Right. Well, that is absolutely true. Even though, well, I guess this is where I want to get into the posture and the body language and the face that is so very different than, the proverbial Slavic face, right? So the face changes. The body changes, the way you move changes, the way you self-present changes. So could you tell me then how is it that it changes?
Body language of a very confident person. It varies from person to person, but you just can sense this air of dignity and confidence and ease. Because for us as non-native teachers, we have so like we're afraid to speak with natives because they think they're going to judge. Because you're a teacher, you're supposed to know that language very well. You're supposed to really own it. You're supposed to be polite and have this great baggage of vocabulary, fancy vocabulary, obviously the CPE kind of stuff. And we have so many expectations, and our bar is so high, and um and and we still feel that we're not enough. And I think that working on your speech in any language helps you to feel that you are enough, that you own it, that you got this. Yeah. So the body language of a confident person, I would describe
And
that.
what's
You
that
know,
like? So what's
standing
that?
tall,
Yeah.
head high, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, well, the usual, right? Absolutely.
And just
Yeah.
looking very charismatic and
Hmm.
absolute stuff.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, that's the ultimate charismatic absolute star. I take that
Yeah.
on. I like that. All right, all right, all right. Cool, 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 cool. But then the British and American dialects and the accents that are present, the regional stuff. Would you say we're looking at two completely different worlds? Like that dynamic between the two, well, continentally very different bits of the world, culturally in other ways. What do you make of that dynamic, if anything? I would claim that those are two very different body languages and very different faces. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
say so?
I agree. I agree. And we were going to talk about uh, prosody, and and
Yeah.
I think that prosody is very different. I'm not an expert in the American English, but to me, it's like the pitch movement is very different in the British English. More rises and falls, I guess, more pitch variation. American English can be a bit more monotone, a bit flatter in comparison, but not in a boring way, like in a laid back kind of way.
That's a good word.
I
Yeah.
guess that it's just how the pitch patterns are used in general, and also the rhythm. That the British
Mm-hmm.
English is more clipped, like
Okay.
the contrast between the stressed and unstressed syllables is more vivid. It's very it's obvious, and
Mm-hmm.
the American English again, it's more relaxed, a bit drawled maybe in places, a different sense of timing. So to me, they sound completely different, although I lack, I guess, the toolkit to describe the American sound, the
Mm-hmm.
American kind of voice, because I've never really studied it in depth. Also, the stress patterns can be different, and the
For
stress
sure,
patterns
yeah.
in words.
Dictionary,
Yeah,
interesting,
and that
ceremony, dun dun dun.
exactly, and this is why the stress pattern in the whole phrase can change.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, loads of differences and different vibes. I've very often come across, like people say, I hate the sound of the British English or the American. I'm camp British. I'm
Yeah.
camp
My
American.
first question is which British, which American, which out of
Exactly. I'm
freaking
like,
how many? Yeah.
I honestly adore all the accents. I wish I could, just use them all, change them like gloves.
I know. I know. But is
Yeah.
there an accent that you secretly or not so secretly, I don't know, want to make sense of and take on? Is there one you just don't have the time for it, but it's there and you wish it was one of, in your repertoire?
Cockney.
Really? I thought it was already in there. No?
No,
No?
no, I can't do it. And the general American, I love the sound
Oh,
of
you
it.
do. Okay.
Yeah,
Is
I
there an
do.
actor, like a voice that you have some kind of, I don't know.
No, just the matter of it, just the the feeling of being empowered and, British is it's just the classics, the Americans are very
I like that. The shoulders.
yeah,
Boom, ba-doom,
they
ba-doom,
are they
ba-doom.
are they are chill, but they are fun. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, they are all of those things. They are the American movies,
Mm-hmm.
they all of that beautiful culture that we got exposed to as kids, growing up from the movies. So it's this
100%.
kind of vibe. And the British is Mary Poppins.
There she is. She ain't no Cockney speaker, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Cockney is Adele, and the way
Mm-hmm.
she speaks sometimes is just the love of my life. Yeah,
Oh, same, same. My goodness, I can't get enough of her. And
yeah,
she sings in General American, so you
yeah.
get
I
both.
bet she's
That's
great
right
with
there.
accents. She has to be great.
She's got to be absolutely. Well, so then you just went on to say how, the American accent sensibilities that it comes with. The first thing that comes up is empowerment. So then what are some of the other epithets that come to mind? So American empowered, what are like, I don't know, give me another two, and then we could move on to
Hmm.
British. This is more like the lightning round type of dynamic. So whatever comes to mind, don't overthink it.
Mm, it's cool.
Cool. All right. All
Yeah.
right. Well, yeah, because Hollywood, right? I mean, it doesn't get cooler
Yeah.
than that. All right. Mm-hmm.
It's cool and it's approachable, I
Mm,
think.
I like
Yeah,
that.
just to feel like that's your person. You operate on the same frequency. So it's very, yeah, I think it's approachable is the word.
I like
You're not
that.
intimidated by it, you know.
Oh, so, so true. I so agree with that. And then the British that you work with, which is, again, we're going to get into what British is that.
Yeah,
But
it's not really the RP kind of style where it's this proper Mary Poppins. It's more, Prince Harry rather than Queen Victoria
thank
or,
God. Thank God for that. All right. Yeah.
It's just more it's like this intelligent, all these things that it's a so very professional, intelligent, full of itself.
Not so approachable. Right.
Not so approachable. This
Gotcha.
dry wit and
Hmm.
mm, British humor, which is sometimes which can be found in the intonation very often,
Yeah.
how you say it, and just being detached a bit,
Hmm.
not being
Hmm.
direct. You never know where you stand, just that politeness, which is, are they really being polite or are they being passive aggressive? Are they
Yeah, ever
now?
since the term been introduced, we don't really know what that qualifies as anymore, right? Is it this or that? Starts with a
Yeah,
P, right? So
yeah.
it's somewhere in there. Okay, that's so interesting. But then while we're at it, so RP is, I don't know, it's like it's just the substance for me that I'm not sure I can make sense of it anymore. I don't know what RP is in 2025. Like, so could you then kind of walk me through this? Like, what's RP? What's estuary? What's Adele? Just a teeny bit of like, what is what?
Yeah, well, RP basically does not exist anymore. It's
Yeah,
the
it
old
doesn't, right?
norm, but sadly, it's what like bits of it are still taught at universities, and teachers come to us, the teacher learners that who come to us, and they say, like, I've been taught that, and I realize that it's a very old kind of norm, very old fashioned. Again, the Queen's English,
Mm-hmm.
and they are proud of it, and they have worked on it so much, and they've achieved
Oh.
the sound of an BBC presenter from like 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard, when you've worked on something so much, so you have to rewire yourself and change your old habits, and you've been praised for that. And they kept telling them that they're great students, that they're nailing it, and
Oh, that's
it's
messed up.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
when we start discussing that vowel shift and that the vowels have really changed a lot, it's very hard to persuade them. They say, I still hear it. I hear the old version of it. Like, please tell me that I can still do it. And I'm like, well, you can do it, but what are you doing it for? Like,
Stop
what?
talking to 90-year-olds, right? No, no, it's not
Yeah.
out there no more.
Would you like to sound like this old tape? Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's
So,
so
so
interesting.
standard Southern British, SSB is the new norm. And they've got bits of everything, regional bits, like Cockney bits, lower class bits, but in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, this is how it emerged, this new norm, being more down to earth, and trying to counteract that RP, which that was the sound people didn't want to be associated with it in any way. It was mocked in all kinds of, the old TV shows. That's when the change started, and now it's this history. Yeah, SSB is our norm, is what we're aiming for. that you could speak and still be understood anywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
that's described in depth. That's very teachable, and
Mm-hmm.
it sounds very fancy.
That is true. Yeah, that's the one I want to take on, I don't know, in 5 years' time, whenever, I develop some sort of commitment. So, okay, okay. So then so one of the myths is the RPs still being a thing. That's one of the things you've been um, busting over the years. Is there any other myth that you've been trying um, to kind of shed light on and have people make better sense of apart from that?
Well, there are loads actually. Like you can't learn an accent if you're not musical. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the biggest of all is that you need to master any accent perfectly. You need to be like a native speaker. That's the biggest
Mm-hmm.
thing that people get into their heads. And I'm like, why exactly do you need it? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
if we sit down and think about it very hard, most people say that at the end of the day, I just want to be confident. I just want to show up and on social media. I want to speak at a conference. I want to be respected by my colleagues. I want the students, my potential clients to choose me
Right.
among like my colleagues. So I want to get compliments. This is what people want. They want admiration.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to be appreciated. So, and that means that it's like a load off their chest because
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to be 100% perfect. You don't need to spend years and years and decades doing that. You just need to spend like maybe a year and feel infinitely more confident, maybe even in 2 months. And then starting from there, you could polish and polish, but it's going to be just for fun, just being part of that community because you get hooked. Striving to be like a native is usually not the actual goal. And we need to unpack that when people approach me and say, I want to be like Keira Knightley, say, like Emily Blunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the biggest one, I think. Also, that pronunciation can't be taught. There's no system. People still
Mm-hmm.
believe that you can just imitate and that's it.
Mm.
Either you can imitate or you can't, and there's no way to fix it. And I have to repeat again and again that there's a system that's
Mm-hmm.
been developed by great people. It's there in the books and you can use
Mm-hmm.
it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there are people who are naturally talented, who have a gift for, I don't know, singing, dancing,
Mm-hmm.
maths, sports.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that the rest of us can't do it. So yeah,
100%.
come and learn, come and learn.
So, in terms of getting hooked, so we see how we start with the sounds, right? The basics of it all. It makes sense to start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. So,
That's a perfect place to start. Yeah.
I mean, it does make sense, 100%. But in terms of where one moves towards, right? So it makes sense to work one's way towards intonation and the rhythmical patterns, and it's the music of the language that trips most of the learners up in my experience. So then how is it that you introduce prosody to your teachers slash learners? How do you go about it, especially with the British prosody, because there's so much more of a na 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 na. How do you go about that? I mean, I can't imagine. I want to hear all about it. Let's go. Yeah.
So basically, there are two components to it. First, you need to build awareness because you
Mm.
can't just do listen and repeat because the
Yeah.
the problem is we are not wired to hear what we have zero awareness of. We have no idea what to listen for. So we
Mm-hmm.
can perceive it just like, music playing on the background, but we won't know that we're supposed to be listening for the stressed syllables, the unstressed syllables, the high heads, the low falls, the high falls, and so on and so forth. And we need to make sense of it. So we need to get the general understanding, the gist of theory, just enough to then do the drill, the shadowing, all the fun bits. I mean, drill is fun. It can be fun.
It
Yeah.
ought to be. If it's not, it's a problem.
Exactly. So yeah, so first a bit of theory where we learn the anatomy of intonation, what intonation consists of, the heads, the tails, the pre-heads, the nucleus, then the types of it, like the hypal, the full rise, and so on and so forth. We learn the ways to mark intonation on paper, all of those little, dots and lines and, all of those schemes, because it's like music. It's very much like reading music from paper. So we have to know how to mark what we hear, because that's when we tune in to all of those little things. And then we need to learn the attitudes, because there are attitudes that they are called the attitudes because intonation is about meaning. It's about taking the same set of words and giving them completely different meanings depending on how you use your intonation and your contours. And we learned that, the basic ones, if you pronounce a statement with this intonation, you get this result, and you'll sound polite.
Well, can we play a little? Let's imagine for a second that I've gotten myself in trouble and gotten enrolled, and there's because I love the acting bit of it, and I want it to be informed. And there's sarcasm, there's emotional cues, there's so very many layers and nuance, and the idea of teaching it just fascinates me, and I really want to see you do it to me. So if we could just kind of play with it a little bit and be silly about it, zero pressure.
Okay.
Like, what phrase are we going to play with?
Say polite correction. So somebody says, she's coming on Wednesday. She's coming on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you need to correct me and say, like, no, she's coming on Thursday. So how would you respond politely? Correct me politely so that I don't get offended. She's coming on Wednesday, my sister.
It's also pragmatics that comes in here, because it's a matter of how I formulate the sentence, right? I'm not even sure. Okay, so I'd probably go with something like, hold on, wasn't it Thursday? I think this is how I'd go about it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So you are not being categoric. You are not using the falling tone. So you could say Thursday or on Thursday.
That's the one that I love about you guys.
All right, like no, on Thursday. Like you're not completely sure, but you are sure.
I'm not
of course,
sure.
But
I'm
not
correcting you.
yeah. I'm not sure. Like maybe you're wrong. No, on Thursday. But a typical Russian speaker of Russian would say, like, no, on Thursday. On Thursday.
That's also how Emily Blunt sounds like when she jokes about something. That is just when she means to sound like an asshole, and she's so great at it. No, Thursday.
No.
Shut up.
It's Thursday. It's
Thursday,
I mean,
right? I love it.
Isn't that obvious? Like Thursday.
Yes. Oh, you sound exactly like her. Oh my goodness. All right.
Actually, like for example, if you want to say, if I'm worried that did I do something wrong, I say, and you might go like, no.
No, that's a very important word to know how to play with. No.
What would
Jesus. Okay. Well, there's
have
like
I done
a million
anything
ways.
wrong? I'm not really worried. Is it the wrong time? Or
So have I done something wrong? No. It's nothing. No, it's not you. You're okay. No. So I'm like, da-down. And I definitely say it more than once. Like, it'd be like a five no's probably.
Yeah. So
sure.
and your pitch, you did great because you were just great.
Go.
Naturally, it's just
You're sweet. All right, I'm doing good. I'm doing good, y'all. Okay.
Yeah, you're a natural. So you used broader pitch range, and that's. We usually go for a, very narrow pitch range discussions. Right. And that's where our problems lie normally. So a Russian speaker would go something like, no.
No, right? And it gets misconstrued because it stands for yes. Yeah.
No. You could go also, it's all right. You could use this, high head plus low rise. It's all right.
Da,
Don't
da,
worry.
da. Let me try
Don't
that. It's all
worry.
right. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, don't
I feel
worry.
so weird doing that. It's all
Okay,
right.
that's very kind of you. This is the very popular tone, like using that high head, that high onset, and then going low rise. That's very
Yes,
kind of
yes.
you. That's very kind of you. Yeah, sounds nice.
Okay.
Loads of things.
Love it.
And first, we try and get the gist of it, just studying the theory, just going through the book and trying to imitate those contours. But of course, this is not how you internalize them, how you inhabit them, how
Yeah,
you
how do you internalize them? How do you go
You do
about
the
that? Tell me, tell
shadowing.
me, tell me,
You
tell
do
me.
the shadowing. So first, by the time you start doing the shadowing, you know what to listen for. You've studied the contours, the attitudes, and the anatomy of intonation. So you are well equipped. And this is when you start analyzing the speech that natives produce. So you can do it now on an expert level, and you listen to the stress syllables and all of that. You try to mark what you hear on the paper, and you try and imitate. And then you go and drill, 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 all the little bits and pieces. And just by drilling, sadly, you don't get to point B because it just remains this particular piece of text that you
Right,
drilled.
right.
You need to push those patterns into your own speech. You need to be able to use them with not just as part of that text, that shadowing piece that you've chosen, but for your goals, for your life. And this is where we do playing on camera and post shadowing, an activity that we love. So first we try to learn the piece by heart and act it out in front of the camera, everyone's favorite. Because this is where you get to look at yourself and you get to take the bits of the person's speech that you enjoy, that you would love to take on board, and discard all of the things that you didn't quite enjoy. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to form your new identity, but it has to be you. It can't be Emily Blunt. It has to be your own self. And to do that as a non-native speaker who does not live in an English-speaking country, you have to listen carefully to the natives and think, I like that, I'm taking that on board, I'm using it, and this I don't quite enjoy. I'll take it from someone else. By doing loads of shadowings, you find the things that you love that are really yours. You feel like they sit well with you, they are your vibe, and you take them, and you don't take the rest of it. So by acting out those pieces, you can see what sits well with you and what doesn't. You get used to your new voice, because very often people say, it's like I'm acting, it's not myself, I'm robotic, stuff like that. And this is where you get used to your new voice, because inevitably you're going to sound differently, because it's a new language, it's a new system of everything. It's very different from our native language. Articulation, intonation, rhythm, everything is different. So you're bound to be like someone else, but still you. Yeah. So the next step is post-shadowing. This is what we do. This is a very cool one. We try to take the intonation patterns that we've studied and inhabit them with new vocabulary. So we try to preserve the pattern and the rhythm. It's like you might have shadowed something like, it's all right. And you try and use the same pattern with new vocabulary, with new words, with new lexical set. And you would say, everything's fine. It's your sentence. It's what you've said, but you've said it the British way. And this is very powerful because you're showing your brain that these patterns are very versatile. They are not only used with that particular lexical set, they can be used in a variety of contexts. These are like Lego blocks, and you could assemble anything by using them. And this is it. And you go through this multiple times, hundreds of times. And the more shadowings you do, the more post-shadowings you do, the more versatile speaker you become. And you can juggle those patterns and produce something unique every time for different situations, and feel confident and feel less robotic because you're more varied in terms of intonation. So this
Hmm.
is how we do it. It's a very long way, but it's a system that works. It's very straightforward,
Right.
and it's method. It does work for everyone. That's why I love it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sciencey.
Absolutely. Well, I prefer it sciencey. Right. So it's got several stages to it, and it does take time, right? So it's like the sense of things feeling like there's someone else talking out of me. It's supposed to be there for a while, I guess, but it's also like the to me, I guess it's easier on me because with the American variety, you're supposed to learn how to relax, like on a whole new level. So you learn to literally ease into it. With the British, I don't think there's this element of extra laid back, like we said earlier today. It's more, collected. And
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of hyper focus at times compared to American. And so, hence maybe a bit of that robotic sensibility getting amplified. So I think that to me would be like a task to tackle as a coach who knows nothing about British pronunciation at this point either. So it would be really hard. But so I'm just wondering, like the sense of being relaxed without necessarily physiologically being as relaxed as you would have been in the American variety. Like how do you work with this, with the easing into it without being, really truly chill about things in terms of how you're sitting down and standing up and how your face
Yeah.
works and all of it. Like what do you do? Because you sound like, whatever, I'm good, I'm here, I'm just fine. So,
This is a tough one and a tricky one because really you need to, with the British variety, you need to press the consonants more. You need
yeah.
to preserve this rhythm, again, stressed versus unstressed.
Mm.
The high note, the low note, all of that pitch variation, which is unnatural to us Russian speakers.
Mm-hmm,
And we have to focus a lot. And we do sound robotic for a long chunk of that time
mm-hmm,
that we're
mm-hmm.
working on our accent. And people get worried, but I keep saying
Right.
that's completely normal. You're on
Mm-hmm.
the right track. It's like, I like comparing it to learning how to dance. It's very
Mm-hmm.
relatable. So, it's like learning this new choreography before you actually start dancing.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be fluid the first time round. It won't be, for the first 100 times. And that's normal because you're learning to do something completely different from what you're used to doing, and it's physical. It's a physical skill.
Yes.
You're learning to use your voice muscles, articulation, organs, and it's all physical and tiny, and it can't be seen. That's even harder than
That's a
learning how to
huge
dance.
problem. I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
dislike that at times.
exactly.
Whoever
It
came
can't
up with that, this is so unfair.
very
Mm-hmm.
often it's hard to demonstrate, it's hard to see. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's a lot. There's a lot to be focusing on. Pitch, sounds, stress, rhythm,
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
pausing even.
Oh yeah.
And but eventually, I think it's just a repetition. It just grows on you. And again, shadowing plays and performing it on camera plays a very important part in it because you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to live that. You're trying to live that piece. Like it's your own, like it's you saying those words. And you start believing that it's you. And then when you're doing that post-shadowing thing, it's actually you this time. It's your message that you're putting into those intonation patterns. And sometimes we do, those before and afters that I've mentioned, and you can see one person speaking before they start the course, then, 2 months in, and then 8 months in. So when they've done all of the courses, and you can see that 2 months in, the intonation patterns are there, but they sound really forced. Like people are making conscious effort
Yeah.
to include those patterns into their speech, forcing them.
Right.
And then 8 months in, it's like just their natural personality. That's what they do. That's what they sound like. And I think it just comes from growing into that. It's just building that habit and doing so much shadowing. It's like it's your own. It's a when you've learned a song, say, and you're singing it, and you're comfortable with the lyrics and with the melody, with everything.
Right.
And there's this point where you become comfortable with the music of the language.
And you
It's just
compose your own, right? So you just kind of go
oh,
on.
beautifully said.
Right.
Exactly. So
Cool.
it's just time. That's it. And conscious effort, control, but then you can ease it and, discover that you've already made it.
Oh, that's gorge. Right. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, just a teeny question about pragmatics then. Well, first of all, if you were to give a brief definition for someone who's a non-linguist, what is pragmatics in language learning and phonetics learning, pronunciation learning, and how come it's of importance? Like pragmatics?
Pragmatics
Practicality? What
is
is
the
this?
best thing. It's actually using the language to serve your goal. Is when you say something and say it with certain intonation, you know what you're aiming for. And that's why you're using that intonation. And in your native language, you do it all the time. You take the same set of words, the same sentence, and you pronounce it differently, and you know what effect you're going to achieve, you would like to achieve. And it depends on the person in front of you, on the setting, on the situation, on lexical context, extra linguistic. We explain it in layman's terms. So what's around you? Is it the big audience, or is it just your husband, say your partner, your kid? And what effect are you hoping to achieve with them? Are you trying
Yeah.
to be sarcastic? Are you trying to be um, motivating, reassuring, whatever? This is all pragmatics. How you use the language to achieve a certain goal. And intonation is a big one here.
100%. Right. It's also, to me, it's the huge one. Like you said, is it your partner? Is it your kid? What's the relationship there, right? So,
Yeah.
what's the positioning? What's the dynamic? Is it you and I don't know, say a shopping assistant? You guys don't know each other. You're like 200% detached from one another and the reality of one another. Is it an American assistant who really wants to help and you wish they didn't want to help as much, right? Or is it a Brit who knows to stay away? Because that really is going to play so much into how those sounds are going to be produced. And I'm just wondering, how can it be taught? Well, I mean, all the things being taught about intonation, all of that is pragmatics at the end of the day, right? But in terms of like, how can it be shown? Like, can it be maybe like little clips being shown? Like, hey, let's analyze what's happening here. Have you ever tried that sort of thing?
Yeah, this
Or,
is
yeah.
you're right. So this is a very hard one. But again, you just I guess how we approach it is we still get this gist of theory. You just need to become aware.
Yeah.
And then we look at different examples, millions of examples, like every single shadowing piece we like to break down into why did she or he say it that way, and how could have they said it differently, like if they said it this way, if they used this intonation contours, what effect would it achieve? We try to play around with it. Can we change it? There's a task on the course where there's a bunch of sentences, and they are pronounced with a certain intonation contour, and I say, well, okay, now take the same sentence and make it sound this way. So make it sound distant, really, or make it sound sarcastic, or make it sound, again, reassuring, polite, encouraging, change the tone of it. And this is a great kind of playground. This is building awareness and then taking and analyzing those bits of shadowing and seeing why they do it. It does not really help that you can achieve the same thing using different contours, though. It's not maths. It's not physics. It's not that, just
True.
use that contour to be polite. Only this
100%.
one. It would have been so easy. But
I
different
know.
people, different ways of expressing emotions. So it really helps to choose a shadowing model is similar, the vibe on the same frequency, because this is going to be a very reliable source for you of expressing yourself, a good starting point. That find someone you feel as your person. And this is easier in terms of expressing emotion and attitude, because obviously we're so different, even within one accent. That's just obvious. We're all different people. So picking someone who you think is like maybe your guy, your girl,
Okay.
is helpful because it's
Pick your
hard, just like you said.
emo.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Okay, like find your avatar, I guess. That's interesting.
Yeah, Avatar,
Okay.
that's a good way of
And
thinking of
and
it,
you
yeah.
guys play with like quote unquote bad emotions like anger, like
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. If we've got a piece that's very emotional, bitterness, sadness, like being being appalled, being,
Mm-hmm.
rambling, being
Rambling,
nervous.
that's my favorite.
Yeah, being nervous, having no idea what to say, being jumpy. It's all
Cool, cool.
great source of, learning to express ourselves, because normally emotions are very hard to express in language that's not native, even in terms of vocabulary, in terms of lexes. It's just hard. It's because the instinct is to fall back on the old patterns on L1.
I got a quick lightning round for you before I let you
Okay,
go. Okay,
let's
so
do it.
some of it is silly, all right? Some of it is
Okay.
not as silly, all right? So, well, tea or coffee?
Coffee and as much of it as I can get.
Good. All right. RP estuary or Cockney, whose accent would you want narrating your life?
It would be fun for it to be in Cockney.
Good. I was hoping you'd say that. Okay. What's one word that you secretly kind of love correcting people on?
Uh,
Is there one?
Anything with dis, when it's dis. They say like
Okay.
dislike or
Uh,
disagree.
gotcha. That
And
is a good
I'm
one.
like, the prefix is always dis, guys. Uh,
Y'all, get it
sorry,
down.
sorry to
Mm-mm.
break it to you, but
Sorry, not sorry. Right. Sorry to burst your bubble. All right. Got it. Got it. Okay. Which fictional character has your dream accent? Movie? I don't know. A book, possibly, that then was made into a movie?
I'm waiting, Granger.
Okay. Well, of course, I'm Watson. You like love her. Okay. What's one sound that learners are better at than they think?
Schwa.
Definitely. It's in
Yeah,
there. It's not that hard to do. Just don't
that's
do
true.
anything. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just relax.
Absolutely. For once. And last one. Finish the sentence. Good pronunciation is not about perfection. It's about.
Feeling empowered and yeah, like we're ready to show this world what you're made of.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you
This
so
was
much.
Olga. Olga, my love. It was so very nice catching up with her, and she's gorgeous. She is. I learned so much today. I think. I don't know.
I
I mean, I just
I know.
well, you hear someone talk about things you feel you know so much about, and yet it's just like I don't know, a new wave of novelty just washing over you, and it's just very refreshing. So, thanks so much for coming in. Uh, and we love you, and maybe you come back in someday.
Yeah, I
Maybe not
love
in 2 years'
you.
time, but maybe sooner.